I see him and then whisper to some faceless friend, "Guess who's here?" In a moment he is beside me, his fingers entwined in mine and saying, "I can't forget you, it's always been you." It is as if we've only been apart for a short time and now we are together again. But then he begins drifting away and I lose sight of him. When I woke, I lay in bed. Who was this man? Was it real life embossed by my dreams? It was a bright, cold morning a few days after I'd moved in, and I stood staring out the window when the phone rang. "Hello," I asked. No answer, just silence. "Hello," I asked again, slowly, waiting a little longer, and then hanging up. As I stared outside, I noticed a man in a coat and a hat standing half behind a tree directly beneath the window, in the street below. He looked up at me, but I couldn't make out his face between the branches and leaves. Then he stepped behind the tree as if hiding. I reached for the cord to the blinds and let them fall, turning them shut. I was working at the library full-time then, front desk duties and shelving. It was nearly closing time a few days later when a student walked up wanting help with a missing book. Taking the stairs to the basement level, I walked deep into the stacks, scanning the books. There was a flash of movement caught in the corner of my eye, and I walked around the row to see who was there. The figure darted to the next row and I stepped over to the next row to look. Again the figure moved. Then the sound of swift footsteps heading towards the stairwell and circling up to the main floor. When I reached the front desk, the other librarian was flicking through cards. "Did you see someone go past just then from the stacks beneath?" I asked. He looked at the stairs. "No," he said. The automatic glass doors swept open, but it was only another student entering the building. About an hour later in the library, I was sorting books at the front desk when the phone rang. "Hello, this is the library," I said. No sound, no voice. Then the caller hung up. I walked around the main floor, past the rows of study desks, and towards the large wall of windows at the back of the floor, like a kid who had just finished counting for a game of hide-and-seek. Nothing was out of place or unusual. I looked out into the darkness of the small car park opposite and saw headlights of a single car beaming into the large floor-to-ceiling windows. For a moment they seemed like eyes, and brushing off the idea I walked back to the book trolley. Just before closing I walked around the main floor again, passing the back windows. I saw the lights were still there, shining in the darkness. It was crazy to think someone was watching, so why was I afraid? After snapping the rows of lights off and locking the doors, I wanted to linger around, so I walked to a coffee shop nearby. When I reached the door, a group of students came bounding out, shoving their arms into jackets and talking loudly. It was quiet inside, and I sat reading a paper for another hour, still hopeful and slightly uneasy about what or who I was waiting for. Soon the coffee shop closed, and the handful of people inside toppled out and dispersed into the night. When I arrived home, the house was dark. As I began to unlock the door, the phone started ringing. I let it finish, feeling cornered.